Hey there Dev Squad, Virtus here and welcome back to my Unreal Engine 4 Mech Combat tutorial series. Within today's video, we're going to be taking a look at how we can get our doors within our player base to open and close when the player gets close to them. So we're going to be doing this using a matinee animation, and all we're going to be doing is simply rotating them on the spot. What we're also going to be doing is a little bit of blueprint work to trigger this matinee event. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is get your doors, and you want to put them into the closed position. Now with these doors, all you need to do is just rotate them just like that. Now what you will notice is you are going to need to have a complete close at this stage. So with these rotated, you also want to move them along so they fit in really nicely just like this. Now once again, if you haven't got these doors, you can get them as part of the assets that I provided for this series. They're going to be in your Mech Combat folder. So now that we've actually done this, what we are going to need to do is actually create a trigger collision, which is going to work with our programming to make all of this happen. So having said that, what we're going to do is go to volumes, and then inside of here, what we are looking for is a box trigger. And with this box trigger, you want to drag and drop it into your scene. Now with this box trigger, you need to make sure it covers the entirety of this gate, and that is going to be length, width and height. Now what you also want it to do is to go over the edges of this a little bit as well, because you want it to start opening before the player actually gets to it. So what you should have is something which looks a little bit like this. Now what you don't want to happen is having these doors opening by itself, because you're getting too close to the player even if they're rotatable, so you don't want it to go any further than about where I've got it now. So now that we've done this, what we can move on to doing now is go into creating a matinee sequence, which is actually going to move these actors. So select the first one and then add a matinee. And then inside of here, inside of matinee, what we're going to be doing is, with this selected, this little door, we're going to start with the left one first. We are going to add a new group, and we're going to give us the name door 1. And what you're going to notice is it is going to change the mobility of that static mesh to a mover, so it can actually work with matinee. Now some of you may be asking, why am I doing this with a matinee as opposed to sequencer? Because it's something as simple as this, we don't need to use sequencer. It's much quicker to do it in matinee. So with door 1, what we're going to do is add a movement track. Now the default position is going to be closed just like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go along to our timeline, and in our timeline, what we're going to do is press enter at the 2-second point to create a second keyframe. And in the second keyframe, all we're going to do is select and rotate this object and put it into the open position by rotating it by 100 degrees. And now, because that is selected, making sure it says key movement at the bottom here, if I press stop and press play, you are going to see you now have an animation for opening that door. So the next thing that we need to do is simply do the second door. Select the second door, add a new empty group and give it the name door 2. And then with this, we're going to add another movement track, and same thing again, go to the 2-second point on your timeline, press enter to add a keyframe, click that keyframe, and then all you're going to do is simply rotate this door by 100 degrees, just like that. And what you should have now is some doors that are open. You don't have to do it exactly 100, you can move it out further if you want to, just make sure you've got enough clearance for that player to be able to get through. If I press stop and play on this matinee, these doors are going to open up together just like that. Now what we're also going to need to do inside of our matinee is just grab the little red arrow in the bottom here, which is going to tell us this is the end of our timeline, and we are going to drag it to the 2-second point, so it's only playing that part of the animation. Same goes for the green section here, you want to drag that to the 2-second point. And then we're just going to close this, and then we're going to move on to creating the code for this system. So what we're going to do now is open up the level blueprint and get programming. So open up your level blueprint by going to Blueprints at the top, open level blueprint, and then what we're going to be doing is creating 2 events for this trigger box that we've got. The first one, which is when the player touches it, and the second one, which is going to be when the player stops touching it. What we're going to do is play the animation to open it when they begin touching this box, and as they leave it, we are going to tell it to reverse that animation, essentially closing the gates for us. So what we're going to do is with the trigger box, we're going to type in begin overlap. And what we're going to do, add event for trigger box 1, collision, add begin overlap. And then right click and do the same thing, but this time we are looking for end overlap. So add on actor, end overlap, just like this. Now the other actor is going to be our cast 2 third person character, just like that. And you're going to hook this up into both of these. Object wildcard is going to go into our other actor. So with this done now, what we need to do is get a reference to our matinee so we can actually play this animation. So what we're going to do is select our matinee, which is in the scene. If you can't see it in the scene, you can always search for it in the world outliner in the top right hand corner. And then when you got it selected, go back to your level blueprint, and then inside of here, you are going to get a reference to this object that we've got selected. This object is our matinee actor, so get a reference to matinee actor, and then from here what we're going to search for is play underneath cinematic, and we're also going to search for reverse underneath cinematic. Now on end overlap we are going to reverse this, and then on begin overlap we are going to play this. And if we go ahead and hit compile, we shouldn't get any errors. Hit play. And if we walk up to this door, you are going to notice it is going to open. And when we get out of that, it is going to reverse it. And I can keep walking up to it, and every time I walk up to it, it is going to open those doors just like that. Open and close, we can get in and out. And what you're also going to notice is those doors have collision, so the AI are not going to be able to get through it. Now, what I do need to mention is the yard walls, so the walls of this base do not have collision. So that is something that we're going to fix right now. So what we're going to do is pretty simple. What we're going to do is we're going to look for a blocking volume. So we're going to go to volumes, blocking volume, and then we're basically just going to place this into our scene. And then we are going to take this over to our yard walls, just like this. We're going to make it nice and thin, and then all we're doing is essentially just scaling it to match the width and the length of this wall that we've got here. So do it just like that, get the height correct as well, and then drop it in. And then once we've done that, all we're going to do is press Ctrl C and Ctrl V to paste this. And then what we're going to do is just drag that over to the other side of the wall just like that. Then copy and paste that again by pressing Ctrl C and Ctrl V. And then we're going to rotate this, and this time we're going to be using it for the back wall. So you want to move it over to the back of the wall of this base here, and then just scale this up so it is going to fit the entire base there. Make sure it doesn't overhang too much, otherwise you are going to have collision issues playing the game later on. Once we've done this, we now need to move on to doing the front. Now with this, we're not going to do one big wall. What we're going to do is 2 smaller pieces, as we don't want this blocking volume to cover the door. So get your blocking volume, move it over to the right to start with, and cover this little section here. Once we've done that, Ctrl C, Ctrl V to copy and paste this, and then move it over to the second part of the wall, just like that. If I go ahead and hit play now, and then walk up to my gates, and then try get into the wall, you're going to notice you are not going to be able to get through that, and neither are the AI as well. So if I was to go into here, into this, after the AI have actually spotted me, they are not going to be able to follow me in. So it's going to close the gate, and that is it. They're going to be stuck outside and they're not going to be able to do anything. So that is absolutely everything that I have got for this video. Once again guys, thanks for watching, stay awesome, keep creating, your boy Virtus, signing out.
This video was made possible by my supporters on Patreon. If you want more videos like this, check out my Patreon page using the link in the description. To stay up to date on new releases, make sure you follow us on social media.